The Galactic Coliseum on Zirium Prime was packed with representatives from every major civilization in known space. The Death Tournament, held once every solar decade, determined military rankings, trade privileges, and most importantly, who had the right to mock whom for the next 10 years. Ambassador Catherine Pierce stood at humanity's designated platform, trying to ignore the snickers and outright laughter from the other species. Earth had only achieved FTL travel 3 years ago, barely qualifying them for entry. "Look at them," gurgled Vextar of the Slorvian Empire, his tentacles writhing in amusement. They sent a diplomatic team to register for the Death Tournament. Do they not understand what death means? The translator in Catherine's ear picked up every mocking comment. "Pink flesh bags," hissed the crystalline Zephyrons. "No natural armor, no claws, no acid spit. What will they do, talk their opponents to death?" High Arbiter Thexval, a massive insectoid who'd won the tournament twice, banged his ceremonial hammer. "Order. The humans have met the minimum requirements for entry. They may participate." "This should be entertaining," rumbled Gorak the Destroyer from the Thuban hegemony. His species had never placed below third. "How long before they forfeit?" "I give them 1 round." "Half a round," countered a Nexari warrior, her bio-blades gleaming. Catherine stepped forward to the registration podium. "Humanity formally enters 5 participants for the Death Tournament." 5. Thexval's compound eyes widened. "The minimum is 50 warriors." 5 will be sufficient," Catherine said calmly. The Colosseum erupted in laughter. Even the normally stoic Etherians, beings of pure energy, flickered in amusement. 5 humans against the galaxy's deadliest warriors? Vextar slapped the ground with all 8 tentacles. "This is suicide," Catherine smiled. "We prefer to call it efficient." "Name your warriors for the record," Thexval commanded, still chuckling. "Marcus Rodriguez, former Marine. Emma Thompson, mixed martial arts champion. Dmitry Volkov, Spetsnaz operative. Kenji Nakamura, parkour specialist. And..." Catherine's smile widened, Betty Wilson, retired kindergarten teacher. The laughter reached deafening levels. Several species had to be medically treated for their equivalent of hernias. "A teacher?" Gorak wheezed. "You brought an educator to a deathmatch?" "Betty specifically requested to participate," Catherine explained. "She said she's dealt with worse than aliens. Something about 35-year-olds hopped up on birthday cake. We didn't question it." High Arbiter Thexval struggled to maintain composure. "Very well. The tournament begins tomorrow. May the gods have mercy on your souls." As the human delegation left, the mockery continued. 5 humans. A teacher. They'll be dead before the opening ceremony ends. In her quarters that night, Catherine made a secure call to Earth. "The bait is taken. They have no idea what's coming." On the screen, General Morrison grinned. "Let them laugh. Tomorrow, they learn why humans are the only species that turned war into a sport and still got bored." The Death Tournament's opening ceremony was a spectacle of power. Each species demonstrated their combat prowess in elaborate displays. The Slorvians dissolved practice targets with acid. The Zephyrons shattered diamond blocks with sonic screams. The Thubans bench-pressed small spacecraft. Then came humanity's turn. Marcus Rodriguez walked onto the platform carrying a folding chair. He set it up, sat down, and pulled out a sandwich. "Is this part of your demonstration?" High Arbiter Thexval asked, confused. "Nah," Marcus said between bites. "Just figured I'd eat before things get started." "Anyone want half?" "It's peanut butter and jelly." The audience didn't know whether to laugh or be insulted. Emma Thompson stepped forward, wearing what looked like athletic wear rather than armor. "We didn't prepare anything special. Figured we'd save it for the actual tournament." "You refuse to demonstrate your capabilities?" Gorak demanded. "Oh, you want a demonstration?" Dmitry Volkov cracked his knuckles. "Okay, Betty, show them the thing." Betty Wilson, a pleasant-looking woman in her 70s, walked to the center of the platform. She was knitting. "This," she said, needles clicking, "is what I do to relax. You know what's not relaxing? 30 kindergartners on a sugar rush. You know what's less relaxing? Alien death tournaments interrupting my retirement." She continued knitting, the crowd growing restless. "Is this mockery?" Vextar demanded. Betty looked up, and for the first time the aliens saw her eyes. The temperature in the Colosseum seemed to drop. "Mockery? Oh honey, I've stared down a room full of 5-year-olds who just found out recess was canceled. I've survived parent-teacher conferences where parents blamed me for their child eating glue. I once broke up a playground fight using nothing but my disappointed face. You think your tournament scares me? She held up her knitting. It was a sweater that read Galaxies #1 teacher with a smiley face. I'm making victory sweaters. Want me to make you one? I'll need your measurements. Well, your next of kin's measurements. The casual threat delivered in a grandmotherly tone sent chills through several species. Kenji Nakamura had spent the entire time silently assembling something from parts in his pockets. Done. He held up what appeared to be a gaming controller. Anyone else bring their console? I heard the tournament has long wait times between matches. Enough. High Arbiter Thexval roared. If humanity wishes to die without dignity, so be it. First match begins in 1 hour. Humans versus the Kroth Bloodreavers. As they left the platform, Marcus finished his sandwich. Kroth Bloodreavers? Aren't those the guys with the poison spines? Yeah, Emma replied, stretching casually. This should be fun. In the alien sections, bets were being placed on how quickly the humans would die. The shortest odds were on instantaneous. They had no idea they were about to witness why humans considered everything from war to space exploration as something to do on the weekend. The arena floor was a kilometer-wide circle filled with environmental hazards, lava pits, acid pools, gravity wells, and energy barriers that shifted randomly. The Kroth Bloodreavers entered first, all 50 of them, each standing 9 feet tall with bodies covered in poisonous spines that could launch like projectiles. Their leader, Scath the Impaler, had personally killed over 300 opponents in previous tournaments. He flexed his 4 arms, each ending in serrated bone claws. Then the humans entered. Marcus was doing shoulder rolls. Emma had earbuds in and appeared to be dancing to music. Dimitri was juggling knives. Kenji was playing on his handheld console. And Betty was still knitting. Begin. Thexval announced. The Kroth charged as one unit, a wall of death rushing at 5 humans who seemed more interested in their pre-fight routines than the impending doom. Then Marcus said 2 words that would echo through galactic history, spread out. What happened next took exactly 47 seconds. Marcus grabbed the first Kroth that reached him, used its momentum to flip it into a lava pit, then began what could only be described as a bar fight on steroids. He wasn't using any advanced techniques, just good old-fashioned punches, throws, and the occasional headbutt. The poisonous spines shattered against his skin. Hal screamed watching Zephron. Their spines can pierce battleship armor. Adrenaline's one hell of a drug, Catherine explained from the human viewing box. Emma had turned her section into a dance floor of death. She moved to music only she could hear, each motion flowing into strikes that shattered Kroth exoskeletons. She grabbed one spine mid-flight, spun, and used it to pin 3 more Kroth to the arena wall. Is she breakdancing? Vexter gurgled in disbelief. Dimitri hadn't moved from his starting position. Any Kroth that approached him simply fell, knives sprouting from vital points. He wasn't even looking at them, his eyes were on the arena ceiling, calculating angles. The human is treating this like target practice, Gorak muttered. No, his advisor corrected, voice trembling. He's playing a game. Look at his face. He's trying to make patterns with the knife placements. Kenji had disappeared entirely, reappearing only to tap Kroth on the shoulder before vanishing again. The tapped warriors would then stumble into environmental hazards with suspicious timing. Impossible. Thexval stood. No species can move that fast without cybernetic enhancement. It's not speed, Catherine said. It's efficiency. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We learned to use minimum energy for maximum effect. Kenji's just very good at not being where attacks are. But it was Betty who truly terrified them. She sat in the center of the carnage, knitting calmly. Any Kroth that approached her would stop, make eye contact, then slowly back away. One particularly brave warrior charged her with all 4 arms raised. Betty looked up. Young man, did your mother teach you to run with sharp objects? The Kroth froze. I thought not. Sit down. It's set. Now, what do we say when we try to hurt people? Sorry, the Kroth whimpered. Sorry, what? Sorry, ma'am. Better. Now go stand in the corner and think about what you've done. The 9-foot killing machine trudged to the corner of the arena and stood facing the wall. By the 47th second, all 50 Kroth were either unconscious, stuck in environmental hazards, or standing in corners. The humans regrouped at the center, not even breathing hard. Is that it? Marcus asked. I didn't even get to use my cool moves. The arena was silent. Then someone in the crowd whispered they didn't kill anyone. It was true. Despite the violence, every Kroth was alive, though thoroughly defeated. Why? Thexvel demanded. This is a death tournament. Betty looked up from her knitting. Death is easy, dear. Any idiot with a weapon can kill. It takes real skill to win without killing. Besides, they're young. They'll learn better. The realization hit the crowd like a physical force. The humans hadn't just won, they'd won while showing mercy. In a death tournament. For fun. Next match? Emma asked, pulling out her earbuds. I've got a playlist to finish. The second round pitted the humans against the Nexari Ghost Battalion, shapeshifters who could phase in and out of reality. They were undefeated in tournament history, having never lost a single warrior. High Arbiter Thexval announced the match with noticeably less enthusiasm. The mockery from the crowd had been replaced with nervous whispers. Perhaps the humans got lucky, Vextar suggested, though his tentacles betrayed his uncertainty. The Nexari materialized in the arena like living shadows, their forms constantly shifting between solid and ethereal. Their leader, Whisper of the Void, had once assassinated an entire planetary government in a single night. Humans, Whisper's voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere, we offer you the honor of surrender. You fought well against the Kroth, but we are not mere brutes. Dimitri looked at his teammates. Did anyone understand that? Sounded like someone talking through a fan. I think they want us to give up, Kenji said, not looking up from his game. That's nice, Betty replied, starting a new row on her sweater. Marcus, dear, would you handle this? I'm at a tricky part in the pattern. Marcus sighed. Fine. But someone owes me a beer after this. What followed was 15 minutes of what could only be described as cosmic whack-a-mole. The Nexari would phase out of reality, appear behind a human for a killing strike, only to find their target had moved. Not with superhuman speed or precognition, just the casual sidestep of someone who'd spent years dodging things. How? Whisper materialized fully, frustration evident. How do you know where we'll appear? Emma paused her dancing. You guys breathe really loud when you're invisible. Like really loud. Have you considered meditation? Might help with the whole heavy breathing thing. Also, Marcus added, clotheslining a Nexari that tried to phase through him. You smell like ozone when you shift. It's super obvious. The real shock came when Kenji pocketed his game and pulled out what looked like a can of spray paint. What are you doing? A Nexari demanded. Art project, Kenji replied, and began spraying. The paint hung in the air, outlining invisible Nexari perfectly. Within minutes, the legendary Ghost Battalion looked like neon-colored outline drawings stumbling around the arena. This is humiliating. Whisper shrieked. Could be worse, Dimitri noted, playing cards with himself. Could be boring. Oh wait, it is boring. Are you guys going to do something interesting, or should I start my solo tournament? The psychological warfare was devastating. The Nexari, used to being feared invisible assassins, couldn't handle being treated like minor inconveniences. They began making mistakes, phasing into walls, each other, and in one memorable instance, directly into Betty's knitting basket. Oh, for heaven's sake. Betty sighed as a Nexari materialized tangled in yarn. Now I'll have to start this row over. Young man, you're going to sit here and help me untangle this mess. But the tournament. The tournament can wait. This is merino wool. Do you have any idea how expensive this was? By the end, half the Ghost Battalion was helping Betty untangle yarn, a quarter were outlined in neon paint and too embarrassed to continue. And the rest had simply given up after Marcus demonstrated that phase shifting didn't help when your opponent knew exactly where you'd appear and had already thrown a folding chair there. Victory, humans, Thexval announced weakly. The crowd was no longer laughing. They were terrified. They're not even trying, Gorak whispered. They're treating the deadliest tournament in the galaxy like a hobby, his advisor finished. In the human box, Catherine received a message from Earth. She read it and smiled. What is it? Her aide asked. The betting pools on Earth. Apparently, someone wagered that Betty would make an entire alien species help with her knitting. They just won enough credits to buy a small moon. By the third round, word had spread throughout the galaxy. Every major news network was broadcasting what they called the human situation. Military analysts were breaking down footage, trying to understand how 5 humans were dismantling armies. The humans faced the reigning champions, the Thuban hegemony's hammer of gods. 50 warriors, each genetically engineered for war, wearing power armor that could withstand direct nuclear strikes. Gorak the Destroyer himself led them, his confidence shaken but his pride intact. Humans. You have fought with honor, but game's end now. We are not primitives to fall for tricks. Tricks? Emma looked genuinely confused. We haven't done any tricks yet. Yet? Gorak's voice cracked slightly. Marcus cracked his knuckles. Look. Big guy. How about we make this interesting? One-on-one. You and me. That way, your people don't get embarrassed. You dare challenge me to single combat? I who have crushed mountains. I mean, yeah? Unless you're scared of a little pink flesh bag. The provocation worked. Gorak charged, his power armor making each step crater the arena floor. He swung a fist that could demolish buildings. Marcus caught it. The arena went silent. How? Gorak strained against the human's grip. My armor amplifies my strength 1,000-fold. Cool, Marcus said. I had a really bad day. Some alien made fun of my sandwich earlier. I loved that sandwich. What followed was the single most one-sided fight in tournament history. Not because Marcus overwhelmed Gorak with superior strength or speed, but because he fought like someone who'd learned combat in bar brawls and back alleys. Every move was dirty, efficient, and designed to humiliate rather than harm. He used Gorak's own armor against him, redirecting his momentum into walls. He found gaps in the armor and tickled. He gave the massive alien wet willies. At one point, he managed to tie Gorak's own cape around his helmet, blinding him. Stop playing with your food, Marcus, Betty called out. It's rude. Sorry, Betty. Marcus replied, then addressed Gorak. She's right. Let's end this. He didn't knock Gorak out. Instead, he did something worse, he pantsed him. The mighty Gorak the Destroyer, terror of 17 systems, stood in the arena with his power armor's lower portion around his ankles, revealing underwear covered in cartoon spacecraft. Nice undies, Emma commented. My nephew has the same ones. Gorak fainted from sheer embarrassment. The remaining Hammer of God's warriors looked at each other, then at the humans, then carefully placed their weapons on the ground and surrendered. We yield, their second-in-command announced. There is no honor in fighting those who make war into jest. Dmitri, who had spent the entire match building a house of cards, looked up. Oh, are we done? I was just getting to the good part. In the stands, entire civilizations were reconsidering their military doctrines. The humans don't just win, a Zephyron analyst observed. They win while being bored. They win while doing other activities. They win like winning is an inconvenience to their actual plans. What could be more important than the death tournament? Vexstar asked. They got their answer when Kenji pulled out his gaming device and shouted, finally. Boss battle. The 4 other humans immediately crowded around him, the tournament completely forgotten. Use the fire spell, Emma suggested. No, ice is better against this guy, Marcus argued. Children, Betty tooted. Let him play his own way. They watched a human play video games while standing in an arena full of defeated champions. The sound effects from the game echoed through the silent coliseum. They're playing a game while in a death game. And the fictional game is more important to them than the real one, Thexval summarized weakly. I need a drink, Gorak muttered from the floor. Same, agreed literally everyone else. The semifinals arrived. The humans' opponents, a coalition of species who had banded together, abandoning all tournament rules. 300 warriors from 12 different civilizations united by fear and desperation. This is unprecedented, High Arbiter Thexval announced. But technically not illegal. Humans, you faced the combined might of. Yeah, Marcus interrupted. Big alliance, very scary. Can we speed this up? Emma's got a yoga class at 3. It's true, Emma confirmed. Virtual reality yoga? Very important for my chakras or whatever. The coalition forces filled the entire arena. Warriors with every possible advantage, acid blood, psychic powers, time manipulation, reality warping. The most dangerous beings in the galaxy united against 5 humans who seemed more concerned about their afternoon plans. Charge, screamed the coalition leader. The humans didn't move. They just stood there looking disappointed. Really? Dmitri sighed. All of you at once? That's not fair. We know, a Slorvian warrior shouted. That's the point. No, I mean it's not fair to you, Dmitri clarified. Betty stepped forward and the entire coalition took a step back. She'd become something of a legend over the past few rounds. The grandmother who makes aliens cry, they called her. Now then, she said, putting down her knitting. I'm very disappointed in all of you. Ganging up? That's bullying behavior. What would your mothers think? Our progenitors would praise us for, Annexary began. Your mothers, Betty interrupted, would be ashamed. Now, I'm going to count to 3 and you're all going to fight fairly or there will be consequences. We don't fear your countdown, human. 1. A few warriors shuffled nervously. 2. More began to back away. 2.5. Wait, the coalition leader screamed. What happens at 3? Betty smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. You find out why human children are the most terrifying creatures in our galaxy and why it takes someone special to teach them for 30 years. What? Humans, Betty explained patiently, are born apex predators. Every human child is a chaos engine of unlimited energy, questionable morality, and the firm belief that they're immortal. And I taught them. For decades. Do you know what happens when you put 30 mini-humans in a room and try to teach them mathematics? The aliens shook their heads. War. Pure, undiluted war. And I won. Every single day. She reached into her bag and pulled out a whistle. This is my teacher whistle. When I blow this, every instinct I've developed over 30 years of managing tiny psychopaths activates. Are you sure you want to continue? The coalition looked at each other. They'd seen what these humans could do when they were playing around. What would happen if one got serious? We yield. Are you asking or telling? We yield. We definitely yield. Good choice. Betty put the whistle away and resumed knitting. The entire coalition, 300 of the galaxy's deadliest warriors, filed out of the arena in shame. In the stands, psychological trauma was setting in. They didn't even fight, Vextar whimpered. The human grandmother made them surrender with a whistle. A whistle. I'm retiring from war, Gorak announced. I'm going to take up farming. Plants don't have grandmothers. The finals. Humanity versus the only team left, the Etherians, beings of pure energy who had won 5 consecutive tournaments. They couldn't be touched, couldn't be harmed by physical means, and existed partially outside normal spacetime. Finally, their leader, Cosmic Zenith, resonated through the arena. Worthy opponents, your tricks won't work on us, humans. We have no physical forms to embarrass, no mothers to disappoint. Oh good, Marcus said. We can use the real stuff then. Real stuff? Thexval asked weakly from his podium. Catherine stood in the human box. May I explain? Please, the arbiter begged. Explain something. Anything. The tournament rules state that competitors must be unaugmented members of their species. Correct? Yes. These 5 are unaugmented humans. Baseline. Normal. The problem is your definition of normal. She gestured to the arena. Marcus Rodriguez, former Marine, served 3 tours in active combat zones. His body has been through so much trauma and healing that his pain tolerance is effectively non-existent. He doesn't feel pain anymore, his nervous system just gave up trying to warn him about damage. Marcus waved. Emma Thompson, MMA champion, started training at age 4 because, in her words, punching things is fun. She's broken every bone in her body at least once. She continues fighting because she literally doesn't know what else to do for entertainment. Emma shadowboxed cheerfully. Dmitry Volkov, Spetsnaz, survived training that kills 90% of applicants. He's clinically diagnosed with chronic boredom because after his training, nothing feels challenging anymore. He took up knife juggling to feel something. Dmitry juggled faster. Kenji Nakamura holds 17 world records in parkour. He's fallen off buildings so many times that his brain no longer processes fatal heights as dangerous. He thinks gravity is a suggestion. Kenji did a backflip for emphasis. And Betty Wilson, kindergarten teacher, 30 years. Do you understand what that means? 30 years of preventing small humans from killing themselves and each other. She's developed reflexes that border on precognition, a voice that can stop charging rhinos, and patience that could outlast the heat death of the universe. Betty waved sweetly. But here's the real secret, Catherine continued. Humans didn't evolve on a death world. We evolved on Earth. And Earth is worse than a death world. It's a boredom world. What? The entire Colosseum asked in unison. Death worlds create species that are hard to kill. Earth created a species that wants to be challenged. We got so bored surviving that we invented war. Got bored with war, so we turned it into sports. Got bored with sports, so we made extreme sports. We jump out of functioning aircraft for fun. We climb mountains because they're there. We went to space because someone said we couldn't. That's insane. No, Catherine smiled. That's human. And these 5? They're bored. They entered this tournament hoping someone could finally give them a real challenge. Instead, they found out that the galaxy's most dangerous warriors fight at about the level of a human bar fight on a Friday night. In the arena, the Etherians pulsed with uncertainty. So what you're saying, Cosmic Zenith ventured, is that we're fighting humans who were disappointed? Worse, Catherine said. You're fighting humans who were so bored they're making up handicaps to keep it interesting. Handicaps? Marcus hasn't used his dominant hand. Emma's been dancing to give you a chance. Dimitri's been playing solitaire. Kenji's speed-running a video game. And Betty? She's knitting you mercy sweaters so you'll have something nice to wear when you lose. The arena fell silent. We yield, Cosmic Zenith announced. What? Thexval screamed. You haven't even fought. We're energy beings, Cosmic Zenith explained. We exist partially in the psychic plane. I can feel their emotions. The humans aren't angry or afraid or even excited. They're disappointed. Do you have any idea how terrifying it is to face someone who looks at the galaxy's greatest warriors and feels disappointed? Like we're not even worth their full attention. Also, another Etherian added, the grandmother is looking at us like we're misbehaving children, and it's making us feel bad about ourselves. I'm very proud of you for making good choices, Betty called out. Would you like sweaters? I made extras. The tournament ended not with a bang, but with the galaxy's most feared warriors lining up to receive hand-knitted sweaters from a human grandmother. The aftermath of humanity's victory changed the galaxy forever. The death tournament was renamed the Friendly Competition Tournament after Betty insisted death was too negative for young people. Killing was banned after Marcus pointed out it was boring and unimaginative. Several species applied for cultural exchange programs with Earth, specifically requesting to learn about this kindergarten that created warriors capable of defeating armies with disapproving looks. Gorak did indeed take up farming. He sent Betty pictures of his first tomato harvest. The Nexari Ghost Battalion started a support group for species suffering from human-induced existential crisis. The Kroth warrior who'd been sent to the corner started a timeout-based justice system on his homeworld. Crime dropped by 80%. And the 5 humans? They were back on Earth within a week, disappointed but not surprised. Maybe next decade, Emma sighed, pulling on her gym clothes. Doubt it, Marcus replied. But hey, at least Betty got to finish her knitting. I made enough sweaters for everyone, Betty announced proudly. Though I'm thinking of starting a galaxy-wide educational reform. These aliens have no concept of proper discipline. The others exchanged glances. The galaxy had thought 5 humans were terrifying. They had no idea what they'd unleashed by giving Betty ideas about education reform. In her office, Catherine Pierce filed her report, Mission Successful. Humanity's reputation as those crazy people who think death tournaments are boring is established. Recommend we send Betty as permanent ambassador. No one will ever threaten Earth again. Across the galaxy, children of 100 species began having nightmares about a human grandmother who could make you feel bad about yourself with just a look. They were right to be afraid. The death tournament had been conquered not by warriors but by humans who'd found a fate worse than death, being boring. And somewhere in the cosmos, Betty Wilson was planning her curriculum for Intergalactic Kindergarten, how to raise proper young beings. The galaxy would never be the same.